Welcome to lesson 24, problem number 3 of Engage Math. Now we are looking at multiplying or dividing expressions that have radicals. So in this case, because the entire fraction, 74 thirds, is in the radical, we can just divide that. And 75 divided by 3 is simply 25. And we know the square root of 25 is 5, so we have really simplified that pretty quickly. Okay, I'm going to zoom in for a few of these so you can see them really clearly. 3 times the square root of 2 raised to the second power. Now remember that each of these factors within that and within the parentheses has an exponent of 1 on it. So we will just raise each one of those factors to the second power. So I'm going to show this in several steps, but then I'd also like you to see how you could do it pretty quickly. So I'm going to write it as 3 to the second times the square root of 2 to the second. So each one of those factors gets raised to the second power. 3 to the second is 9, and the square root of 2 to the second is just 2. So, because really it's the square root of 4, but the square root of 4 is 2. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that small again. Our final answer is simply 18. Okay, the other way you could just do that one's really the same process, but you don't have to show that work if you just think of 3 squared is 9 and the square root of 2 squared is going to be 2, so it's 9 times 2. Okay, let's go to C, and I'm going to stay zoomed in so you can see this really clearly, but C is kind of nice. We can't simplify 4/9, but we can take the square root of each portion. And the square root of 4 is 2, the square root of 9 is 3, and we are done just like that. Okay, let's go to D. The square root of anything squared really just undoes the squaring. So let me show you what I mean. If you had the square root of a star squared, I'm making up the star, it's just going to be equal to the star. Now, the exceptions to that is some things you'll learn later in math when there can be a negative and the radical and so forth. But for right now, all we have to do here is say the square root of 8w to the fourth times the square root of 8w to the fourth is 8w to the fourth. That's it. If you want to do it the long way, you can write it as the square root of 64w to the eighth, but then you're going to get right back here. Okay, let's go to E. The first thing we want to do is simplify the square root of 24 over the square root of 3. So 24 over 3 is 8, so we have 3 square root 8. And just to make sure you see, that's because of the 24 over 3 that we're getting the 8. And this 3 on the outside is still right here. Now we know that the square root of 8 is going to be the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. So even though that doesn't look that much like a 4, I'm going to try and make it a little more clear. So what we have is we have the 3 on the outside times 2 times the square root of 2. So our final answer is simply 6 square root of 2. Okay, let's go to F. Okay, F is a light bulb. It might be a little bit trickier, but let's multiply things together first, which we're allowed to do. When you multiply, as long as it has the same index, which both of these have a 2, even though it's not written, they don't have to be the same radicands to multiply or divide. They can be different. So in this case, we're going to get 40, x to the fourth, y to the fifth, and now we're going to simplify that. So the square root of 40, I think this looks a little familiar, can be written as the square root of 4 and the square root of 10. So we're going to rewrite this as 2, which is coming from the square root of 4. So it's going to be 2 square root 10. And I'm going to, for right now, just leave the x to the fourth and the y to the fifth inside. Okay, so now our next step is going to be that we have the 2 on the outside. And what we can do now is we know there's a little index of 2 here, even though, again, it's not written. So that 2 right there, this index, goes into the exponent of 4 2 times, which means we could take out an x to the second. And it goes into the 5, the exponent on the y, 2 times, but there's 1 y left over inside because 2 goes into 5 twice with 1 left over inside. And this is our final answer. Okay, thanks for joining us here today at Engage Math, and we'll catch you next time.